G'day everybody, welcome back to the channel. Okay, so today I want to talk to you about what I'm calling the Serene package, which is essentially the Stack Audio Serene record clamp, which you can see there in with its particle dampening technology, and the Serene mat. So I want to talk to you about the combination of the two of these and how I found them on my Kuzma turntable. There's been a lot of testing going on. You guys have seen quite a few records being played with the combination of the mat and the clamp, and I've been doing some testing both with the mat independent without the clamp, and also the originally we did some testing with the clamp on the standard fixed material that's on the platter of the Kuzma Star turntable. So obviously I've been playing a lot of records both on camera and off, so you guys can get a bit of a feel for what I'm hearing, and hopefully you were doing that or getting that. But there are some differences that I want to talk about here between what the clamp did separately to what the mat did separately, and then I want to talk about what I heard when I put the mat and the clamp, as I'm calling it the Serene package. I put those two components together on top and below under the record. So with the clamp itself, now this is a very lightweight clamp. It's not heavy at all, but it has Stack Audio's particle dampening technology incorporated within it, and it's a very, very smart design. Whereas when the clamp sits over inside the spindle here of your turntable, it literally sinks down, as you can see here, under its own weight, and then makes contact across the center of the record. And one of the things I noticed, now I've got a fairly high-end turntable, right, with the sapphire bearing. It's Frank Kuzma's latest turntable, you know, the latest model in his turntable range, the Star BR. And it's got the incorporated DC motor drive in the chassis of the turntable. It's literally made out of a solid billet of aluminium that is literally just CNC machined out for the components to fit in it. Weighs an absolute ton, and so it's a heavy mass turntable. And so it's very resolving. It really does do a wonderful, wonderful job with the Kuzma 4.11-inch arm and the Lyra Etna SL cartridge. It's a fairly formidable analog playback system that I'm lucky enough to have in my room here. So I was thinking to myself, well, I wonder what's going to happen here. Well, what am I going to find? Am I going to hear an improvement, or have I got to a point where there is really, in relation to accessories like, you know, the mat and the clamp here, will that flesh out any improvement? Well, I'm here to tell you it did. So let's talk first of all about what happened with the clamp. So initially when the clamp arrived, I tried it on the standard surface of the platter of the Star BR turntable, as I have always done. And I found there was a cleaning up, if you like, of the noise floor. So it lowered the noise floor that I was hearing. So I'm talking about tracking noise on the surface of the record. I'm talking about just a mechanical motion that the turntable makes spinning around. This clamp does a remarkably good job of, even on such a highly resolving turntable as I have there, of cleaning and absorbing through its particle dampening technology, more than you would think of that mechanical motion that is the rotation of the platter on the turntable. So the noise floor was lowered, and that was clearly evident to hear. The tracking noise was lowered, and by a decent margin. You could clearly hear the difference between not having the clamp on and having it on. And the beautiful thing about this clamp is that I was able to literally have a record playing. And if you're, gentle enough, I could literally put the clamp down across the spindle and have it settle down onto the record, and then go back and listen immediately. And then I could pull the clamp off and notice what I was hearing there. And it was audible. You could hear that there was a difference with this on versus when it was off. And the difference was a lot blacker background in relation to the mechanical motion of the turntable. So that would be the best way to describe this component in its independence of what it is. Then a little later on, the mat turned up. This is the Stack Audio mat, and so the mat has 4 little dimples, which I spoke about in the initial video, as you can see here. Where are we there? And directly underneath that, if we turn this over, we've got an cavity the other way. So let's just do something here and see if this will show up on camera. So if I push that in, that's pushing the dimple in. Now you can see that when I push the dimple in there, you can see there is if you like, a section taken out of the back of the mat there to allow that dimple that the record sits on to sit down. Now, there is a lot of technology that's gone into this mat, according to Theo and Josh. And when I played a record with the mat and no clamp, so I said to you and promised you I would try each component individually, and then I would talk about what I heard when I combined the 2 products together. And the thing that I heard with the mat on its own was a remarkable sense of dynamic and transient response increase. So when things became from soft to loud, it really leaped out in front of you, and you really noticed there was a sense of decoupling of the record itself to the turntable. There was essentially, so what's happening here is there's 4 very small little dimples on this mat here that the record is literally sitting on. And it will find its point where it's happy to sit. And there's some animation that I will put courtesy of the boys at Stack Audio. And I'll talk through that process. That'll be coming up after I do this introduction for you guys to have a look at the process around the thinking that's gone into this mat and also this clamp. So when the rubber hits the road here, and this is what you guys tune into my channel for me to tell you exactly what I heard differently. There was a sense of aliveness, of life, when the record was sitting on this mat. The presentation became transiently more extreme. So when things became loud in the recording, you got that more easily, more of it. There was a real sense of the record almost floating in the air. So there was no influence in relation to the turntable to record influence. There was very little there. There was a dramatic, I have to say, dramatic increase in how much better that transient response was. And the next thing that I noticed was the lower octave. There was a real sense of sweetness and trueness around the lower octave response on records when they were sitting on this mat. There was a real sense of freeness in relation to the musical presentation across the frequency response. So everything just seemed to roll easier, to sound more engaging, more lifelike, more analog, dare I say it, when I had the mat underneath the record. But the magic, and I'm here to say, the magic really happened when both items were combined. So the sorts of things I noticed when I had the mat down and the clamp placed on the record was a further cleaning up of the lower octave. And I think that comes from the combination of the decoupling of the record to the turntable with the mat and the absorption of the mechanical influences the turntable has on the record surface with this clamp. So we got more defined lower octave articulation. We got cleaner, more lifelike sounding mid-range that was totally unveiled in its response. We got cleaner, sweeter sounding high frequency response across the board. No matter what record I played, I heard a further improvement over that playback as opposed to the Kuzma screw down clamp on the standard platter surface. And I'm not saying 30 or 40% because that would be completely unrealistic, but I'm talking here a good 10% improvement. Now, on a highly resolved turntable like that, I can only imagine that on a lesser quality turntable, you are going to hear even further improvement because I have a fairly high bar to start with. And for these two components to improve my presentation as dramatically as 10%, and that is a substantial improvement when you're talking about the level of system that I have here. When you get 1, 2, 3% improvement, you're considering that a real improvement because it's a refinement, and quite often you will often go sideways as opposed to what you would perceive as an improvement. Now, the perception of improvement is very, very, very subjective, right? So what I might perceive as being an improvement, you may not so. I can't speak for you. All I can do is put it in as plainer English as I can about the sorts of things that I heard. I consider the decoupling of the turntable's influence on the playback an improvement. And I think most people would as well. The bonus of having all of this lovely frequency response in the lower octave that was fleshed out and easier to hear the tonal differences. The improvement in surface noise in relation to stylus in the groove noise was a real lovely improvement that I wasn't expecting. And I believe, as I said, that is very much an absorption issue with the particle dampening technology in the clamp. So all of these things gave me a real sense of the sorts of things we love about analog, the aliveness of the presentation, the sounding like the person's in the room with you. That's what we all strive for, I think, in audio playback. And I got closer, much closer to that with this package in conjunction with my turntable than I've had before, than I've ever heard before with any analog playback I've listened to. So I've been playing a lot of records. I've been playing records that I thought were noisy in the record itself, only to find out that these two products working in combination with each other tidied that whole surface noise presentation up further. And all of those things really enthralled me. They kept me engaged in what I was listening to more than I've ever noticed playing records in the past. So these are both absolutely, again, from the guys at Stack Audio. They have produced a product that isn't just there to make the numbers up. They've produced a product that actually seriously works. I'm a big fan of this. It's not going anywhere. This mat was also a massive improvement as far as I'm concerned. When you can start talking double figures here, and about 10% is where I would say my analog playback presentation has increased by using these two products. That's huge news. That's big stuff. So as a combination, absolutely mind-blowing. As separate entities, they have a real improvement in different areas of the analog playback. So once again, it does sound like I'm a little bit of a broken record here, but Josh and Theo, the designer of and the brains behind all these wonderful Stack Audio products, has knocked it out of the park once again, as far as I'm concerned. This is a real improvement in the analog playback. It is something that has elevated my turntable to a new level, and these items are not expensive. They are absolutely not going to break the bank, and on a system like mine, it's an almost no-brainer. But if you've even got a lesser quality system for analog playback, you would be mad, I think, if you didn't give these a go. They are a real improvement across the board. 10 out of 10 again, guys. 2 thumbs up from me. This is these products are, again, like all of your products, making a real difference to the analog playback in my system. And I'm assuming, and I think rightly so, that they will improve your system and its ability to get right into the music that you're wanting to listen to. So I'll leave you with the animation. I'll talk over that. I'll say thanks very much for watching this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you're enjoying what I'm doing here. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, all I can ask you to do is consider doing that. It helps the channel grow, and it helps me to get more wonderful products like this into my room to be able to talk to you guys about it in plain English, so that you get it from somebody who's telling you exactly what I'm hearing here in the room. So thanks very much, everybody, and we'll talk soon. Bye for now. Okay, everybody, here's the Serene record clamp and the lovely animation from the boys. Now you can see where the spindle sits in the clamp there, and then the particle dampening technology that does the isolation of any mechanical noise coming up from the spindle before it's transferred onto the record surface. A real improvement, and I could certainly hear the difference. Okay guys, so here's the mat with the dimples that I was talking about. You'll see the record sits down on those dimples, and then you'll also see in a minute the relief underneath that I was talking about that makes the record find its spot where you get that ultimate decoupling effect. Thanks everybody for watching this. It was lots of fun bringing it to you, and again, another amazing Stack Audio product that knocks it out of the park.